Hey guys, Mike from Long Range with the Lilies out here with Keely and Scott working on some movers. We're out at Rock Lake. Doug Lorfield was kind enough to let us shoot his mover. So we've got a mover out at 400 yards, and I know we get this question a lot on movers, and there's some kind of mystique and, like, you know, some fear of movers, but in reality it's a fairly simple process.
It sure is, and there's a deliberate way and kind of a hasty way to do it.
Sure.
And either way, you don't really, with the hasty way, you don't really need to know how fast the mover's moving. I know, and you hear it at matches too. I know you have, Keely, I know you have too. I'll just hold 1.5 mil or 1 mil to the lead edge, and guys just do it, and they're like boom, 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 and they hit, but they don't know the tools that they have at their disposal to actually, you know, not have to use somebody else's information. Right?
Sure.
So what we're going to go through is we're going to drill down on a deliberate and how to go about that.
And to be clear, that's to use your kestrel. You've got time to measure it out with your reticle, use the stopwatch function on the kestrel, and get an exact firing solution for the range and speed of the mover. Correct. And it'll also give you your speed of the mover.
That's right.
And then your hasty method is kind of your proprietary thing. And I saw a brief clip on it, and it seemed like it just blew people's minds. They're like, I don't even understand what he just did. So we're going to break that down as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the other thing I'd like to see is that we show, and we utilize the Triggercam so you guys can see what Scott sees, tracking and the ambush method of shooting. And it's kind of, in my opinion, personal choice really at that.
It really is. Actually, you know, as the target gets closer, it looks like it's moving faster, and depending on what power you're on, it can move so fast. You know, if we're doing the same speed at 200 yards, you almost have to track it in order to not get surprised by it, because it enters into your field of view so fast that you'll actually end up missing a lot, versus keeping it in your field of view the whole time and just kind of tracking it. Okay. The further you get, the slower it looks, and the easier the engagement is.
Sure, I agree. I like it when I can see that thing for a little ways before I get to my firing point.
You know, like, oh shit, there it is. Oh fuck, I missed it.
All right, so with that being said, let's dive into this kestrel.
Yeah, okay, because we know the distance, it's 397 direction of fire. So what we're gonna do is, when target is highlighted, we're gonna go ahead and press enter. Okay, and we have target range, direction of fire. We're gonna go down through degrees, cosine, target speed, TS. Sure. Once that's highlighted, we're gonna go ahead and enter, and it has units. We're going to put miles per hour, and then it has estimate. So what we're going to do is we're going to arrow down to estimate, and we're going to enter. We got the range in there. We're going to measure the movement for 10 mils, and we're going to measure it in our scope. We're just going to use it as a ruler, and it's going to do the math for us. The math is turning mils into feet, and then a percentage of that for the distance we're shooting. And then what we're going to do is we're going to basically take how far it's moving in a set period of time and turn that from feet per second into miles per hour. Sure. And that kestrel is doing that for us.
Yeah, because I'm not doing that math.
No, right. I have the on my phone. I got it in my notes on how to do the whole math on it, but yeah, it sucks. So movement 10 mils. We're going to go ahead and arrow over until we get to 10 mils, and now time. We're going to arrow down to time, and we're going to highlight it. Then we're going to enter, and now we have a stopwatch function in there. Start, stop, go, and all you have to do is enter and then stop. So, you know, we're going to measure it for 10 mils. We're going to, as we see it hit the first mil mark, we're going to hit it, and when it hits the 10 mil mark, we're going to stop it. So it was 2.75 seconds. That's going to be pretty close to this, but what we're going to do is we're actually get in there and measure it.
All right, so what we'll do now is we'll turn on the trigger cam, and we'll get going. Okay. So what we're going to do now is you're going to measure it, you're going to start the clock, stop it, and then we're going to get our speed.
Yep, here we go. Lead edge, lead edge. Okay, 2.91 seconds. I'm going to get it coming back the other way.
Just to make sure.
Yeah. Lead edge to lead edge. Right at the 5, boom. Right at the 5, boom. Okay, 2.9, 2.84. So I was within 5/100ths of a second. So let's see how fast that's going. We'll exit out of here. 2.8 seconds. 2.9 miles an hour.
Sure.
Okay. Now what we're going to do with that information is we're going to exit out of this, and we're going to go down to range card. Okay, it's a function in the main menu. We're going to enter that. We have 400 yards. We have elevation is 1.5, and look at that, lead is 1.6 to the middle.
Okay.
Okay. So the target, we'll take a look at the target real quick. I like having sharp edges. So the target is about a mil too wide. Okay, I just kind of showed that in there. So that gives me 1 mil to the lead edge.
Okay.
Okay. But and that's for ambushing. When I go to tracking it, I'm gonna put 1.6 right in the middle and just rip it.
Yep.
Okay. There is a tiny bit of wind, but I'm not gonna really worry about that right now. It's a pretty wide, pretty forgiving target. The biggest thing is just trying to make a clean break on that 1 mil
Okay.
lead.
So now we've got our lead, we've got our firing solution, we've got everything.
Yep. And we can actually go into time of flight is 0.45 seconds.
So half a second.
Half a second,
Okay.
right? And we'll get into that when we get into Hasty, but that's always good to know when we're doing this, what our time of flight is.
All right, so let's get a couple passes of you engaging.
Okay.
Now that we have our lead and we have everything, camera's rolling, and we got Keeley spotting for us.
Okay.
And looks like it's going out on the left. It'll be coming back in left to right.
Okay, here we go. So I'm going to go 1 mil lead edge.
Impact. Impact.
Okay. And that's ambushing. Now tracking.
Impact.
Okay. I just followed it.
Okay. So let's get one more pass. Let's 2 tracking and then 2 ambush.
Okay, 2 tracking, 2 ambush. Okay.
Going right to left. It's about midway through. So if you just want to do one of those techniques this way.
Here is this is going to be ambushing.
Impact.
Okay.
It's right out of bounds.
Yeah.
And let's get one more tracking coming back the other way.
Okay, we're going to track it.
And
Put that 1.6 to the middle. Follow it.
Impact.
Okay. Now here's an ambush.
Impact.
Here's a track.
Impact.
Okay.
There we go. So there's not a lot of mystery. I mean, it's like anything else. If you have a good firing solution, if your data's good, you're going to get the right equation. The kestrel's doing the work. It's really just about knowing the steps to go through it.
Correct.
So now, what do you do if you don't have a kestrel? Say you're out, you got a coyote, and you're just you're trying to get a quick firing solution. Talk us through your Hasty method.
Okay, so my Hasty method is I've come up with phrases, and I'm going to actually go in here and go back to target, and I'm going to use the stopwatch function just to time myself.
Okay.
In my phrases, right? So here we go. We're at estimate. Okay, time, start, stop, go. I'm going to say 1/1000. At that cadence is about half a second. So 1/1000, about 0.56.
Okay.
Okay, and that works for. We could go in here and take a look at our range card, and this is valuable information. I just nerd out over this stuff. So if we go 300, time of flight's about 0.4. If we go 400, it's 0.45. If we go out to, that phrase is going to work out to about 475.
Sure.
Half a second.
Yeah.
And then after that, I have another phrase that I say that gives me about 3/4 of a second. And all I'm doing is saying 1/1000 as fast as I can. And that gives me about 3/4 of a second. So, and then when we go from, what is that, 520, about 500 to, we're at 0.6 at 575. That phrase is going to work out to about 700.
Okay.
Okay, so 3/4 of a second. And then from 700 to about 850, you get that 1/1000.
Sure.
Said like you're going to play hide and go seek or whatever, you 1/1000 set at your kind of your 1 second Deal. So let's try that. Let's see how I do with this. Okay, back to target speed. We'll go to estimate, and I'm going to say 1/1000 as fast as I can. Ready? 1/1000. Okay. Oops. I was on the wrong one. Okay. 1/1000. About, well, I messed that up.
Yeah.
It's okay. We'll try it again. 1/1000. There we go. 0.7.
0.7. Yeah.
Okay. Now, if I say it slow, like I'm playing hide and go seek, 1/1000. Stop. Okay, about 1 second.
Yep.
Okay, so, and that gives me a couple of ranges to work with, right? It gives me about 350 to 475, 475 to about 575, and 575 to about 650.
Okay.
Right, and those are my brackets, right? So if I know how far it is, I can kind of guesstimate my time of flight, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how far that target moves with that phrase.
Yes.
Okay, so I know I'm at 400, so I've got a half a second to work with, and all I'm going to do is say that phrase a couple of times and see how far the target moves within that phrase, and that's my time of flight.
All right, let's check it out.
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to get on target. Okay, I'm going to stop the rifle here. 1/1000. About 1.5 mils. 1/1000. Again, about 1.5 mils.
Perfect.
So as you can see, it kind of lines up with the kestrel. If we know our distance and our time of flight, we don't need to know how fast it's going.
Yeah, I think that's awesome stuff, and I think it's just another tool for the toolbox, and really great way of breaking that down. So it's predicating on you knowing your cartridge, knowing how fast you say those phrases, and then knowing, you know, at what distance to use what phrase. So you've got some kind of windows, like 3 separate windows of ranges to use, so you can be effective on a moving target quickly.
When they get going fast, like coyotes have a tendency, like they know me from here all the way back home, so when they see the green or the black truck, they're kind of like, and you know, they're ready to go, and if they see the truck slowing down, they start moving, you know, and if they see the window come down, it's game on. And at that point, they're kind of at a loping or running speed. If they're at a loping speed, I can manage that, but if they're at a flat out run, all I try to do is get out in front of them and stop them.
Yeah.
Right, because they'll like, you know, if they see, you know, crap blowing up in front of them, they'll stop, and then you gotta
be quick on that follow-up.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, or you can do the Nick Darcy method and hit them from the next county, and they just never know what happened.
That's probably the optimal technique, where you just whistle at them, and they'll be like, what? And then blast them from 1,000 yards. Right.
All right, Keely, do you have a question?
I do. So I have 2 questions. So I hear people say you said 1.5 to the lead edge, right? So what exactly does that mean? And then do you factor in your reaction time and your, like, how long it takes you to press the trigger?
So we were talking about this earlier. My trigger press isn't slow, steady pressure until it's surprised. Right. Because in my mind, if you're surprised by the rifle going off, that's an ND.
Yeah.
Right.
So you don't know exactly where that thing went. So I press the trigger as quickly and firmly as I can without disrupting the rifle. That's my technique. I think some of this stuff is already, the reaction times are kind of factored into it a little bit already.
Right.
You know, your bolt gun is a faster lock time than a gas gun. So your gas gun lead is going to be a little bit different because it just takes longer for that hammer to drop.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
Just the mechanics of it takes twice as long. So you might have an extra tenth or an extra 2/10. And each rifle is going to be a little bit different when it comes to that, you know, different lock times, etc. And that's one of those things that, you know, you're going to have to see it and learn from it in order to, you know, figure it out. You know, your trigger press might be different than mine. You might need 1.7 instead of 1.6. Mm-hmm. And then as far as the lead edge goes, the way I do it is, all I'm doing is measuring the width of the target, right?
Okay. Yep.
Full width, and I cut it in half. And then I subtract that from what my lead is. So if the kestrel tells me 1.6 and the target is 1.2 mils wide,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take 6/10 off of that, and that's how I came up with 1 mil to the lead edge.
Okay,
Does that
so
make sense?
so when you're
So-
lining it up,
If I'm understanding you correctly, and I'll do it this way. So if the target is moving this way relative to the camera, and it's a 1.6, at 1 mil lead edge, your 0.6 would be in the heart of the target.
Exactly.
Does that explain it?
yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. No, I think it's a great question. I think we take a lot of these things for granted that people just understand, and I think it's good that we slow it back and break that down.
Exactly, and then like I know at Rifles Only and some other places where the mover's actually at an angle,
Yeah,
and they'll tell you it's 3 mile an hour mover, but it's not.
yeah, because
It's really
moving.
going 2.5.
Well, it is moving 3 miles an hour, but relative to you, it's
That's right.
changing. It's a devious thing.
It's going away from you, or it's coming towards you, and it's at an angle. So it's actually a cosine of that, a percentage of that speed. But again, with the hasty technique, you really don't need to know how fast it's going.
Sure. Right.
It's less precise than doing it the long way, but again, it's one of those things where, especially at the hunter match,
That's
right?
that really makes me think of the hunter match, because you had to run up to your firing point, find the target, and then shoot it. And there was a mover on there, and so I am not super confident with movers, but I was familiar with my cartridge, familiar with my gun, and I've shot enough movers to say, well, maybe I'll start with this. Okay.
Right, you had a
And
place to start
and
from.
it worked out for me.
Yeah.
I just guessed, and it ended up working out for me. So I think I inadvertently used the hasty method,
Right?
and it ended up working out.
Because in the hunter matches, you're not given the range or the target speed,
no.
and that target was at an angle.
Oh,
from your
yes, it
firing
was.
position.
And when you hit it, it would blade and it would get a
Oh,
lot
man.
smaller. So that 1 mil to the lead edge is probably not going to work as well. You need to be aiming
No.
for the center of that puppy.
That's right. You
Right.
need to track it and aim for the
Yeah.
middle, and it was pretty close.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
So,
I think
it
a lot of
wasn't
people
super
were
far.
surprised at how close it was.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you. I'll let you guys finish up.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, you want to do this?
Turn this off.
I'm going to do one more.
Here, I'll record it just for shit's sake. Going out of bounds on the right.
Yeah. Okay. He's kind of wiggling around. He like speeds up and slows down. So
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go
In.
1 thou. Okay, get that far out in front.
Impact.
Go.
Awesome.
Okay, so I'm getting ready to shoot the mover. I've got my 6 Creedmoor pulled out, and typically when we shoot here at Rock Lake, there's a lot more wind, right? And so when you have wind and a moving target, how do you calculate for that? What do you do?
Right, because it's going to be moving. You're going to have a different hold going one way to the other if
Right.
the wind is coming from a specific
right.
direction.
Yeah.
That's right. And so it's typically out here it's like 2 to 3 tenths of wind. And if I've got the time, I'll dial it in. And if I don't have the time, it's just quick math, 2, 3, 4. That I would add to my lead. So if the wind is following him, if the wind's going this way and he's going that way, and I get my hasty engagement, and it's 1.6, I'm just going to drop 3/10 off of it
Sure.
Okay.
right away because the bullet's going this way and the target's going that way. So the wind is actually going to push the bullet to follow it. So you're going to have to reduce your lead.
Okay.
And we're talking the hasty method.
The hasty
Hasty
method,
method.
that's
So
right.
with
In the
the-
deliberate method, I'm just going to dial it off.
Yeah, so you're going to look at your kestrel, you got the range, you got your wind hold, and you take that wind hold. Say if it's a 0.3 right, you're going to dial on 0.3 right. So now
That's
you're
right.
shooting a neutral
That's
wind
right.
each
Like
way.
today, I think we were shooting in like a 2/10 left wind at 400 or 500 yards. So I'm just going to take and I'm going to go left. Now you don't want to go right, okay? Because the wind's blowing right, but you want to put left wind in. So you're going opposite
Into the wind.
into the wind.
Yes.
So I'm going to go left 2 clicks.
Yes, and I think
Right.
another thing that I see very common is guys they'll say, okay, I got a 0.3 wind hold, and they'll dial it on, but then they'll still hold wind on, say, the confirmation, and then they
Oh yeah.
miss because they've got wind dialed on.
Yep,
Right,
you
and
have
it
to get the
should
whole
when they
setting.
should just be centered up.
Yeah.
Right.
And most of the time I won't dial wind unless it starts getting big. If it starts getting over a mil and now I'm spending a lot of time trying to find that spot, I'm just going to go ahead and dial a mill. Say we've got, you know, 6, 7, 8, 9,000 yards, and that 600-yard target tells me a mill left. I'll go ahead and dial in a mill left, and then after that, it's just, it'll go from 1 mil to favor left to left edge to maybe 3/10 left to left.
Yep.
And that works pretty good, because then you're not holding way over here in your scope.
Right.
It's just
Right.
tough.
Yeah. Oh, that would be really tough, especially trying to keep up with the target.
Right. Exactly. So
Okay.
yeah, at that point, I'm just dialing it in.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so I think the last thing I want to cover, and it seems very obvious, but we see it all the time, is that your crosshairs should be in front of the target. The target should be moving towards your crosshairs.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
So if you could remember that, and I say that because I think we've all done it.
I've done it.
We've all done it.
If I haven't shot a mover in a while, for sure, it
Well,
takes.
except for your old job where you had to reverse lead. stuff.
Right, unless you're in a moving, then it's different because you're
Right.
moving and the target's not.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, well, anyway, so let's get Keely shooting this.
Yeah.
Let's swap the trigger cam over for her,
Okay.
and then we'll go from there.
All right.
All right, here we go, babe.
All right.
Coming
So
inbound, right to left.
target's moving into. There we go. That helps.
Good dry fire.
All right. So
Good to see.
all right. So at 1.5.
You're
There we
back.
go. And I think I like the ambush method better.
Impact. Impact. Scott, you gotta get your scope out.
So-
for trigger
so I'm
cam.
gonna do the same
Watch
thing
the
on this
bullet right
side.
now.
We're at about 1.6.
Yep. Aimed
Ah,
it.
there we
Impact.
go.
End it.
Went a little under him there. It's a little behind. So I feel like I'm still better on one side. There we go. That might have been it. Yep. So I did 2.5 passes there. And I missed how many?
All right,
3 or 4?
let's start over because you didn't set up the filming at all. You just started blasting and nobody was ready.
Oh, I thought you guys were ready.
No.
So I
Go
just
back.
started blasting. Okay.
All right, coming inbounds, left to right, babe.
All right. So 1 point. Oh.
So,
Oh.
Oh yeah, I got it right at
4
the.
impacts. Good run.
All right.
Come back the
so
other way.
Let's see if I can do it this way. I struggle a little more.
Impact. Impact. Impact.
Oh, I moved that one
Missed
a
that
little
one.
early.
Yeah.
Got a little excited.
Impact. Impact.
All right, that's it. I think that's one of my best mover runs I've ever had.
Yeah. All right, so what we're gonna do now is Keely's had her turn. I have my Seekins SP10M. It's a gas gun in 6.5 Creedmoor. I don't get the opportunity to shoot movers every day, so I'm just gonna see how many hits I can get in one pass. Just trying to push it a little bit and have some fun. So if you want to spot for me, I mean, what's the purpose of having a gas gun if it's not to go fast?
That's right. I mean, that's the only reason why you have one.
All right, so we're gonna wait for it to come back the other way.
Yep, it's kind of in the middle right now. Out. In. Impact. 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 Impact! Impact!
Yeah, you got the last one. Nice.
You squeaked that one out.
Was that 8?
8, yeah.
That's what gas guns are for. Thanks to Doug Glorfield for letting us shoot his mover. And guys, if you haven't shot a mover, I encourage you, if there's a local match in your area, get out there, get some practice on them. It's the only way to get better. Thanks for watching, guys. Dude, that is fun.
That was solid.